Hello crafty friends, welcome to another mixed media background video. Today we're going to be working with some greeny blues. I've got salvage patina and broken china distress oxides. But before we get into any colour, I want to spatter some water onto this piece of smooth white cardstock. And now I'm going to sprinkle over some clear gloss embossing powder from Wow. This is the superfine version, so it should pick up all the little drops. Now I'm going to heat it with my heat tool. I'm going to heat it from underneath so that the powder doesn't blow away as the water evaporates. Now I have managed to scorch the paper a bit because I held the heat tool too close to the paper and it is a bit visible from the front, but I think I'll be able to cover that up mostly. That's all cooled and set, so I can work on it now, and I'm going to blend the salvage patina over. I'm happy with that blend. I'm just going to buff off the ink that's on the embossing. So this is an emboss resist technique. The embossing powder, once melted, resists the ink. Now I'm going to go in with some broken china, but this time I've smushed it on my mat, hydrated it with water, and I'm going to pick it up with my smusher and smush it on. Create another layer of colour over that salvage patina, and I'll dry that, and I'll use the excess just to add some small little smushes here and there. And again, I'll buff off the excess. Now I'm actually thinking about removing this embossing powder so that I've got a nice flat surface. So I've got a little mini iron here. I've put it on high heat, and I'm going to put a bit of copy paper over this, and I'm going to iron like that over it, and that should melt the embossing powder and allow it to absorb into the copy paper. And I'll keep doing that until I don't get any more coming off the card. If I run my fingers over that now, I can feel that the embossing has gone. So now I've just got these splat shapes left behind. I want to add a little bit more visual texture. So I'm going to stamp on it with this grungy stamp and the broken china. And this is why I removed the embossing powder, to allow the stamping to go in the white areas. Actually going to flip that over and press it down from the back. Some nice texture there. I think I'll leave this bit unstamped just so I've got some flexibility there. So I'm going to do a bit more heat embossing on top of this, but I'm dusting it with anti-static powder this time, just to reduce the risk of embossing powder sticking where I don't want it. And I'm going to use a splat stamp. So this is an alternative to flicking water on. You can get a splat stamp and ink it up with sticky embossing ink and just stamp it down. So I'll stamp at the top, stamp at the bottom, and I'm going to sprinkle on metallic copper superfine powder from Wow. That should pick up the small details again, and the orangey colour goes with the blue-green. I've got a little bit of excess powder where I don't want it, where the edge of the stamp and the block touch the card, so I'll just brush that away. And because I used embossing ink for these splatters, I can heat from the top more easily because the powder shouldn't blow away. Now that's cooled down, I'll add some splatters in the middle. I'm very happy with that. I think that looks really textural, lots of shimmer and shine, lots of layers, some nice contrast. Now to put it on a card or two. Right, I think for this background I'm going to use it to make some tags, and I'm going to put one tag on a card and then keep one tag to use as an actual gift tag. So these two tags are roughly 4 3/4 by 2.5 inches. They're from a Sizzix die set. And I've got a 4x6" card blank here. I've changed my mind, I'm going to do a 5x7". I just think that is the right size tag for that size card. I've also grabbed this piece of hammered texture card from my white scraps bin. So I've got a smooth white card blank, hammered texture card and linen textured tag. So there's some interest in the differences in texture going on, even though the card is all white. But I want to run a band of this across the front of the card before I put the tag on and before I die cut a panel from that. So I'm thinking maybe something about that depth, but with a nice decorative edge. So I just mark there, slightly down from where the original pencil mark was. And I'm going to mark exactly the same place opposite. And then I'm going to line up my die with those pencil marks. And then we have my scalloped edge. And carefully erase those pencil marks. I've put my rule of thirds acetate grid here for my 5x7 card blank. And I'm going to get the panel where it's going to be, its final place. And I'm thinking maybe actually a bit further down, maybe a third of the way down the card to have that start, or just above, something like that maybe. Yes, to get that on straight with the edge, I'm going to push both pieces up against the lip of my scoreboard, hold that in place with some low tack tape, and hold that in place with low tack tape, and then die cut it all together. Now I've absolutely no idea why I held that colourful panel down with low tack tape. I should have just glued it down. But at the time of filming, we're in the middle of a heat wave and I think my brain's slightly fried, because now I'm going to have to glue it down. Right, so glue on the back of that, and that is very easy to note that's the wrong piece. Oh dear, maybe I should take a break. So glue on the back of that. Let me wipe the glue off of this because I want to use this for something else. Right, now that will just lock back into there where it was, and now that can go on there like that. I've put 1mm deep foam tape on the back of my tag just to give it a bit of a lift and add to the sense of dimension. And I've put that over to the left hand side a bit off centre. So I've die cut out a label from some of that background. I'm going to pop that on there to bring some of that colour to the foreground. Also die cut out a little white label just to kind of break that up a little bit. My sentiment says hooray, and I'm going to pop that over this side, maybe over a little bit further. I will add some foam tape underneath that, I think, to keep it level. So there's a double layer of foam tape there. And now I've got some copper or rose gold candles to add, because this is a celebratory card, maybe a birthday card. I'm thinking I'm going to back the candles with this. So I'll dip my candles into some high-tack white glue and place the body of the candle onto that background. And now I'll cut those out. Now I can add a little bit of glue to the back of my candles and stick them on. I've also cut some copper foiled streamers, so those can get dipped in glue and added onto the card, just to bring in some energy and movement. So to finish off my tag, I'm going to add some twine through the hole. So this is just a white, slightly shimmery thread. And I think I'm going to call this card done. Very happy with the way it turned out. I like the blue and the copper, nice complementary colour scheme, plenty of energy and movement and some shimmer and shine. And here's the gift tag. So I treated it in a similar way to the card. I cut another piece of that blue background with the scallop die and stuck it on the tag this time rather than behind the tag, because there's nothing behind the tag. Then I added a white large label and a small colourful label just to create a bit of interest in that area. I added a celebrate sentiment. It's hanging off the edge here as this label is here, and that again adds a bit of interest, a bit of energy. Added my candles and some streamers and some thread through the tag. So that is now ready to go on a present. It could also go on another card, so you could simply add it to another card like that. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's given you an idea or two, and I hope to see you back here very soon for another one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.